What if I told you there were only 6 systems between you and having a successful local SEO company? If you're thinking about providing this service to your clients, then I need you to listen up. In case you're new here, my name is Sam Sarston. I own an SEO agency. Before this, I was just building websites. I started offering local SEO, and in the last 18 months, our agency has done over $250,000. And typically on this channel, I talk directly to those local business owners, hoping to drum up some business on YouTube. But I know a lot of the people watching these videos are local SEO providers trying to get better, trying to level up, trying to scale up. This video is for you. I have a special reason for doing this particular video, and throughout the video, I'm going to explain why I'm doing this, but just trust me, stick with it. We got 6 systems, and by the end of this, you're going to know so much more. I highly encourage you, click that save button because you're going to go back to this video in the future, I promise. So let's get into it right now with number 1, which is figuring out what your why is. Now, some people might think, Sam, that's very woo-woo. Why are we starting with the why? Well, let me be real with you, internet friend. The thing is when you do local SEO, like you will have times where you are working too much, where you are spending too much time on client work, where you are getting rejected in sales calls. And guess what? That can hurt one's psyche. And so if you don't know what your why is, it can be very hard to keep going. I hear from a lot of people that start businesses that their why is to make money. And trust me, I want to make money too. But here's the thing. If you don't have a higher level why, then it can become really hard to keep going in the hard times. So I encourage you, whether it's to spend more time with your family, to be able to work where and when you want, even if it's just to not have a ceiling with your salary, like create yourself a why that is beyond just making money, even if it has a little bit to do with making money. So for me, when it came to my why, when I was first getting started, probably the least most important, but one that's become very beneficial is time flexibility. I love that. The next one is family time. I love my family dearly. And so being able to just be able to pick up and travel the 3 hours to go see them has been great. And then the number one reason, it's not money. It's my primary core value is service. And so I love helping people, and this business has allowed me to do that every single day. I get to help my clients, I get to help my team members grow, and I get to help students in Local SEO Academy, where I teach other local SEO providers how to offer these services as well. I get to teach them how to be better at what they do and help their clients. And so it's like this web of service every single day. And yeah, it's not always easy, but having this higher level why I think is massively important. So I encourage you to take some time, reflect, meditate, do whatever you do, but come up with that solid why, and then we can get to your second system. And that's, who the heck are you selling to? Now, we're specifically talking about local SEO today, so I'm going to help you out with this if you're not already sure. Now, I know that all the big wigs on the internet are going to tell you that the riches are in the niches, and I do believe there's some value to that, but there's a totally different strategy you have to do when you completely niche down to one industry. So if you don't feel like getting on a bunch of roofing podcasts in the next couple months, then what I encourage you to do is just focus on 2 general categories that are great for local SEO. Now, Local SEO Academy, we talk a lot about sales. We talk a lot about getting your ideal client profile nailed down. One of the biggest things I like to talk about is broke mofos. Here's the thing, if people don't have money, then they're not going to pay you $1,000 per month for local SEO, which is our goal. We want to get you to that price per month. You're not going to get there right away, and that's okay. You're going to have to sell to some people that don't have a lot of money, but you don't want to get people that are a bad fit for local SEO because it's just going to be a bad experience for everybody. Let me give you a quick example really fast. Coffee shops. And the reason why is because, coffee only costs like 3 or 4. Well, maybe it's like $10 a cup of coffee these days, right? If you get all the accoutrements with it. But, there's a lot of $10 coffees you got to sell to even match. Say you're charging $500 per month for local SEO, right? What is that? 500 coffees, 50 coffees, right? Maybe that's doable, right? If you break it down by weekdays, that's only a couple extra coffees per week. That's not too bad, but it's not a high ticket item. So what you want to do is you want to find a service provider that offers a high ticket service. Also, their mindset needs to be in growth mode. That's a seed for later, by the way. So you want to work with somebody that is growth oriented. They're looking to maybe build a team and grow out, but there are certain sectors of business that you should be looking at. And so number 1 is contractors. These are people that go to your home and provide a service. This could be HVAC, roofers, electricians, all that good stuff. Those guys, they're great, and gals, right? They can be fantastic, okay? You want to watch out for people that are like, handymen, because their projects can be pretty small. Even like some landscaping businesses might not be the best fit, but trust me, this is where you can have the majority of your sales go. And then number 2 is holistic medicine. Sometimes there's some red tape to go with like traditional medicine, but holistic medicine, I'm talking about chiropractors, acupuncturists, naturopaths, doulas, health coaches. There's a ton of people in this space that you can work with, and you can totally help them grow their practice through getting them to show up higher on Google. Now, you got to find people that are actually trying to grow their practice. That's really important. Some of these people will just be solo providers. That's all they need. Maybe they need a little help to build up their their list of patients. But once you do that, there's really not a whole lot more to be done there. But still, if you go forth and you say that these are your specialties, I promise you there will be clarity. Now, I do this. When I go out and network, I say these are our specialties. But guess what? We have a client that's a property management company. We have a client that's a mortgage broker. We have a client that's a small law firm. We have a client that's a franchise consultant. So, if you're trying to start a franchise, you should DM me on one of the things and I'll get you in contact with them because it's pretty cool what they do. But I didn't go forth and say I want to help these things. But I chose these 2 big buckets, and we have a lot of clients in those buckets, but we also get people outside of the buckets, and that's okay, right? Sometimes it's not the best fit, but as time goes on, you're going to find the clients that you like to work with, the ones that light you up, the ones that are a little bit easier because there's maybe less competition. There's a lot to it, right? But anyway, you want to be very clear about your who that you're going to be selling to, because as you go forth, you want to have clarity as you go forth. It makes you more referable later on if you have a very clear ideal client profile. And it's okay if you have a couple profiles, but you can't have 1,000. You can't. If you try to sell to everybody, you will sell to nobody. I wish I would have knew that right at the gate. So please take that advice. So I think we've said enough about the who. It's time to jump into number 3. I'm excited for this one. Are you ready? This is what the hell are you selling to these people, right? If you're going to be charging people $500 a month, which is the minimum I recommend people charge in my community, eventually you're going to charge $750. You can charge $1,000. I've charged over $1,000 multiple times to people. You have to know what you're doing. Okay. You have to know what you're doing. And that means you need to have a solid package. Now, here's the problem. And I have a video that if I remember, I'll link it right here, where I talk about the scams that agencies run. And one of them has to do with having tiered packages with different amounts of blogs to help build topical authority. That's not how authority works. Authority has to do with getting other people to link back to your website, locally relevant, industry relevant links in local SEO. Sorry, I'm getting into the weeds here, but it annoys me because, they will sell you a $400 package where they do 2 blogs per month, and then an $800 package where they do 4 blogs, and then $1,200. And it's like, if you really want to light things up, you want to do 8, really crappy ChatGPT blogs per month. Obviously, they don't say it like that, but you get the point. Like, people try to come up with all these things to overcomplicate it, but there's 3 things that matter for local SEO. Let me write them down for you right now. Number 1, it's the GBP. That's the Google Business Profile. If you're pretty new to this, when you search blank near me, whatever the service is, right? General contractor near me, coffee shop near me. Again, it's not a good fit for local SEO. But when you search that, the map typically shows up first. In the map pack, those are your Google Business Profile. That's why it's massively important. A lot of leads can be found there if you can get your clients to show up there, okay? That's number 1. Number 2 is your website. You need to have a well-structured website. That can even help boost up the GBP. That's why it's massively important. You need to work on that and your organic rankings, even if you don't get a ton of leads through organic. And then the last thing is authority, not fake stuff like topical authority, but I'm talking about real authority, which is like building links, which is a more advanced topic. If you've been on this channel for a while, you know what we're talking about here, but we have other videos on that as well. But that's it. Those are the 3 things that really matter. Now, the flow, the structure, like how do we actually do those things? We'll talk about that in a second, but the deliverables that you give, like I can't tell you how simple I make it on a sales call. I literally just put those 3 bullet points. I explain a little bit more about the customer service as well. Usually we'll do like a monthly Loom, and we'll do like a quarterly check-in, with me and my project manager, and we'll really sit down and hammer things out. But, and they have a dashboard where they can communicate with us on a, however frequently they want, right? People like to feel like they're connected, and we want to have that connection with our clients, right? We like knowing them. We like knowing about their lives. We like connecting with them. We don't want them to go away after 12 months. But anyway, the point is your package does not have to be this weird like tiered system where there's a million different options. That's it. Like there's 3 things that matter for local SEO: GBP, website, authority building. That's what you're going to do. And that's it. I'm a big, firm believer in having one package. Now, I think there's different ways to package the package. And that's the kind of topics that we talk about in local SEO. By the way, the whole reason why I'm doing this video where I'm talking to SEO providers, because Local SEO Academy just turned 1 year old, which is pretty exciting. We have, I think, 40 people exactly right now in the community tier. And so we'd love for you to be the 41st person. And so I'm actually going to be offering a little discount code throughout this video, but I'm going to give it to you in pieces because I want you to watch this whole thing before you get in, okay? So I'm going to give you the first piece of the code right now. It's LSA for Local SEO Academy. So write that down, LSA. I'll give you the other pieces with the rest of the system. So keep watching. If you made it this far, that means I know you're committed, because a lot of people give up in the first couple minutes. And the big thing about the community, not only do you get, weekly Q&A calls with direct access to me, all those other SEO providers that are actually starting to get clients and asking really great questions, and we're diving deep on some really cool topics right now, but you also get all the learning you need. So if you feel like you're not there yet, you can catch up with everybody super quickly. And I'm giving a massive discount for this 1 year. I'm going to do it for a short period of time, up to my birthday, which is August 14th. And then after that, the link below is still going to go to a discount, but it's not going to be as good. Okay, the sponsor of this video is Local SEO Academy, in case you couldn't tell. Let's keep going with system number 4. And at this point, we're actually going to shift gears because we were talking about kind of the background. Once you know why you're doing this and you have that solid in your head, you know who you're selling to, and you know what your product is, even though it's a service, but you want to kind of package it up. Once you know that, now it's time to actually run your business. And there's 3 things that really matter for running your business. And so let's get started with system number 4. And it's probably the most important thing for running your business. That's right, baby. Sales, 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 sales. I cannot stress this enough. If you don't have clients, you don't have a business. You just have this idea in your head. And if you have a couple clients, you still don't have a business. You just have a hobby. I hate to break it to you. Now, there's a couple things I really need to talk about before we really jump into like how to get clients. And I want you to have realistic expectations. Like everybody on the internet's like, hey, here's how you're going to get rich. Just, look at a couple Notion documents and, you'll be making 6 figures in no time. Okay. So like, let me give you the reality check really quick. All right. And this is not me being a jerk, or that's the word I'm going to choose to use on YouTube. There's other words in my head, but I'm not trying to be a jerk here. Okay. What I want to do is like, I wish somebody would have just like sat me down, put their arm around me and said, Sam, this is the journey you're about to go on. It's not as easy as you think it's going to be, but it's actually going to be kind of cool in a way. So that's my little detour. And then I'm going to tell you how to get clients. Okay. So the big lie that everybody tells you is that you only need a few clients to become rich. I could tell you that you're going to charge $1,000 per month for local SEO. And if you can do that, then that means you only got to get 10 clients. 10 clients times 12, that's $120,000. That would be great, but you're not going to get the clients all at once, right? So that doesn't really add up for your first year, but just hear me out there, right? That's a pretty reasonable amount. Like getting 1 client per month, that's actually pretty good. Now, that's also guaranteed you're going to retain everybody, but there's this thing called churn. So you will lose people, and circumstances will come up where people will just violate contracts because life happens, that's okay. That's how life works. So at the end of the day, it's not going to take you 10 clients to get to $100,000, mostly because you're not going to charge $1,000 right away. That's just how it works. When you're out there trying to sell a service for the first time, it's going to be really hard to sell it for anything. You're probably going to have to give it away at least once. If you're a web designer, and a lot of web designers watch this channel, and you want to start offering local SEO, you can offer it to one of your website clients as just kind of a trial for 3 months. I'm going to try to do your local SEO. I just want to get some results so that I can offer this to other clients down the road. They'd be like, heck yeah, go do that. Also, your real first client should be you. But know that like web design and SEO is some of the most like ruthless spaces to try to rank in. So like, don't be discouraged if you can't get yourself to rank very high, especially if you're in like a populated area, because everybody's trying to do SEO in that industry, right? And so like, try to get one of your clients that you can work on right away, because you're going to start seeing some results like, oh, I'm actually getting the needle to move. Cool. So anyway, that'll build up confidence. Then you'll be able to go out and you'll be able to sell for like $500. That's great. And then you'll be able to sell it, maybe after a couple times doing that, then you can sell for $750. You do that a couple times. Now you're ready to sell for $1,000. Maybe you're even willing to do it with a 12-month commitment. I remember I was so scared when I did this, but guess what? That was a little over a year ago. We just had that first client on a 1-year contract and they didn't go away. They're still with us. And so anyway, the whole point is like people are willing to pay money if you're going to get a good return. Okay. So the big thing that I want you to take away from this is that you're going to have to scale up the amount you're charging. And so that means it's not going to take 10 people. It's going to take like 15 people to get to 100,000. And when you get to that 100,000 and you get to 15 clients, I think on average, like the lifetime span of a client, you should spend about 2 hours per week per client. That's like a rough number, okay? But if you're spending 30 hours a week on client work, that means you don't have enough time for marketing. It means you don't have enough time to work on your sales pipeline. It means you're like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to do that, you might as well just stay in your job right now because that will be easier. I promise you that. But I'm guessing if you made it this far in this video, you're not the kind of person that wants to keep making somebody else's money. So you're thinking, well, there's got to be a smarter way, right? And there is. You just need some help. And you don't need to grow a big agency. Like at this point, I have 6 subcontractors that work with me on a weekly basis. And that's pretty crazy actually to say out loud. But you don't have to do it the same way I'm doing it. You could do it leaner. You could do it more efficiently. You could do it with probably just a few people. And so that's what I wanted you to think about. It's like there is a potential that you could be, 1-2 years from now with 20 or so clients, a little bit of help, and you could be in a totally different financial situation, time freedom situation, all those whys we talked about. You could reach those things within a couple years. And that's amazing. And if you're scared about the state of local SEO, like don't worry. It hasn't been chipped away much by AI search. And in fact, I guarantee there will always be a spot for you in between small businesses and the internet. So don't be worried about that. I think this is actually a great industry to get into right now. It's a little scary, but it's also exciting. So if you like excitement, stick with me. Okay, that was the harsh truth. Now let's get back into talking about sales. There's 2 really big subcategories in sales. Number 1 is lead gen, so lead generation. And number 2 is your pipeline, okay? This is so important. By the way, when I did a survey recently of my 500 or so people on my email list. If you're not signed up for that, there's a link below for that. Pretty cool, weekly newsletters and all that good stuff, lots of freebies. The number 1 thing I got from the SEO providers that they wanted to hear about was they wanted to hear about how to get clients. So I'm going to break this down right now. What I'd really encourage you to do is get that discount code that I'm giving out in this video, because in case you skipped earlier, somewhere in the video I gave away the first part of the code. The second part of the code is the number 1. So go back and get that first part of the code, because I'm going to give a massive discount to Local SEO Academy at the end of this video. So make sure you piece those pieces together. Okay. So scrub back if you missed it. But Josh Hall, the famous Josh Hall, did an expert training in there recently where he talked about the best ways to get clients in 2025. And that's totally what lead gen is all about. Okay. And so I'm going to break down some of my favorite lead gen strategies here. Just to kind of get you going. And so, the first one is a BNI type group. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with BNI, because I didn't know what BNI was when I first started doing this, it's a single category referral networking group. The whole point is you show up every single week because you're trying to get referrals. Now, these are expensive. And so this might be a big investment for you in the early days, but I really think that you will make that money back so quickly. And it's a great way to get connected fast. So if you're brand new to this, that's a great way to get in. Okay. Even if you got to go with like a BNI knockoff, I mean, that's what I did. No offense to Team Referral Network. But if that's what you got to do, that's okay. You do that, you build it up, and before you know it, you'll have power partners, you'll have connections in your community. Absolutely 100% do that. The second thing is your chamber. Okay. If you have a chamber that's active, become a part of it and be active in it. This last year, I've done a lunch and learn. I was a speaker with a breakout session at our summit. I hosted a coffee clatter, which is like our weekly event. I'm trying to be present so people know that my business exists. Okay. And I strategically chose the town next to me because it's a little bit smaller. The community is a little bit tighter. And there's no marketing agencies in that town. There's a ton in Bend, which is where I'm actually located. And so like the 20-minute drive has been massively worth it. And if you're wondering like, how much did you spend? Well, the yearly fee is $250. So I've spent like $500 at this point over 2 years. I spent a couple grand actually, like paying for the food for some of the events and also being a sponsor for the expo. But you know how much money I've made from the chamber? And well, I don't know how much money I've made, but the gross revenue is over $50,000. Okay. So like if I told you right now, you give me $10, I'll give you $100 a couple days from now, most people would give up that $10, right? And so like, that's the kind of return on investment you can get, but you got to be an active participant, okay? And then the last thing is, just like open networking groups. Those are great, but and I've definitely gotten clients through that as well. But just know like it's more hit or miss, right? You're gonna have to be in the early days to show up to everything, but eventually you're gonna kind of find your crew and just kind of stick with that. Now, if you are an introvert, my short answer is get over it. You're running a business now. You don't have a choice. You have to get out there and you got to sell your business, okay? So these are the 3 things that you can do in your local area. But you might be in an area that's not so opportune to network, or you might still be 9 to 5, and so you can't do that stuff. So what should you do in the meantime? I think you can also do your own local SEO. Try to show up in your area. I've gotten tens of thousands of dollars from local SEO as well. I think that's a great strategy. And then the last thing is, the socials, right? And so I encourage you to have a growth channel, and that would probably be something, well, it's a place where strangers can find you. So YouTube for me, obviously, that's why you're watching this. But also, Instagram Reels could be a great option. TikTok, if you like to dance or whatever the Gen Zs are doing over there these days, and even LinkedIn to an extent, you can get exposure to strangers on that, and that's good. That's what you want to do. You want to get beyond your bubble on this channel. Okay, you don't have to post every day. You don't. I have thoughts about this, but you want to have a growth channel, and then you want to have a nurture channel. And I used to give different advice on this, but I really think your nurture channel should be an email list. I just mentioned mine. Right now it's called Local SEO Lowdown. I just rebranded it this year, and it's been really cool. I'm getting a lot of feedback. People really like it. I spent a lot of time on that. It's kind of a passion project of mine. But, it's a way to engage with people over a long period of time. And that's your list. You cannot, they're in Kit or whatever, but that's your list. You can pull them and move them anywhere. A social platform could go through disruption, overnight. We really don't know. And so try to get an owned channel, which the easiest thing you can set up is an email list, because like my email list was free for a really long time. The only reason why I'm sending up paid now is because we're going to try to get into nurture sequences and things like that and blah, blah, blah. So, okay. So that's lead gen. All right. And man, we talk so much more about this in Local SEO Academy. But also, if you're interested in learning more about how to get clients, then drop a comment below, because I really want to do a webinar on this, boot camp, a masterclass, whatever you want to call it. And so like drop a comment below. If I see like 5 comments, then I'm definitely going to do it. But I just need to know that there's like a desire to do this. Now, the second part is sales. I'm spending a lot of time on this because, again, this was the thing that got the most feedback recently when I asked people like, what do you want to learn about? So the second part is your pipeline. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, instead of like talking about the pipeline here, I want to actually show something here. So I pulled up, let's see, let me get this going here. Just a blank Google sheet. So you can follow along with me. This is, not complicated. Okay, let me make sure I haven't screwed anything up here. Perfect. Okay, so we're good. So what I want you to do is you're going to make a sheet, and you're going to call it, sales pipeline. All right. And eventually you're going to get something more complicated than this, but this is fine. Okay, this is 100% fine when you're getting started. Okay, you're going to go in here, and you're going to say the first column, there's a bunch of marketing terms for it, like untouched, things like this. I like to just call it lead. Okay, lead. All right. It's somebody that you met at a networking event. You're going to put their name right there. Okay, easy. Next up is contacted. Okay, these are people you've reached out to. Next up is meeting scheduled. Okay, I got a coffee scheduled with them. After this, it's like follow up. Did I follow up with them? And then after that, it's going to be proposal, invoice, and then either closed won, closed loss, and I usually have like an archived. I ran out of space, but trust me, I'm typing archive with 2 V's. Nice. These are these are the ones you really want, right? So you got, you meet somebody, they fill out your form, they reach out to you, they go in the lead category. John John Smith, right? And then, you meet the guy, maybe you get his like business card, right? And you're like, oh, he's a general contractor. And then you send him an email, right? And so that moves him over to contacted, right? This isn't automatic in the early days. You're going to have to do this manually, but this is a way to keep track. You should be doing this at least twice a week, at least Monday and Friday, if not also Wednesday. Like this is one of your most important tactics because the wins are in the follow-ups. Every time I'm working on my follow-up, I make so much more money for, me and my team. And so it's like, okay, so I'm reaching out to them because I want to have coffee with them. Great. Okay. Got the coffee scheduled. Now they're here. After that, usually there's some sort of conversation, is this person, a good fit or not? I also like to just have kind of, just a waiting one. These aren't people I'm going to knock off yet, but they're thinking, maybe they needed to think for a little bit. You need to go, I'm not going to flag them for follow-up, but, they need more time. Okay, that's no problem. Then you meet, Jane Doe, and, she's an acupuncturist. And when you met her at the networking event, she's like, oh, I'm actually looking for somebody who does SEO. So the meeting's already scheduled. Boom, we get off, we talk, we have a great time. She says, send me a proposal. And then next thing you know, she's like, yeah, looks good, signs the proposal. So we go to invoice, closed one. Now you're doing an onboarding call. Hey, John reached out. He said, you know what, I'm going to go in a different direction. Oh, well, we lost him, right? But now we can keep track of these things every single day. And it's like, one of the keys is just filling this up in the early days with people and reaching out to them, right? Moving them over here and then maybe knocking them off to archive, right? If you hit, it's really easy. You can go, data, filter, and, I just screwed up my columns. But, you can do something like this. And then, like if you have your like archived people here, you can just say like, hey, I don't want to see the, only, I think it's only blanks, right? Or something like that. I don't know how to do that off the top of my head. But it's like, okay, once they're archived, that row disappears or something like that. Now I'm really messing things up. So look at that. I just created a pipeline in the middle of the video in a couple seconds, really. Like it's not that hard. It's not that hard, people. So like you need to have a pipeline. You need to keep track of it. Eventually it's going to get more complicated. You're going to hook up automations to all this stuff. But in the early days, that's all you need. That's all you need. You don't need scripts. You don't need stuff to follow. Like just literally just follow up with people and have a pipeline so you can keep track of where people are at. It's that simple. I could show you my current one and show you how complicated it is, but I don't want to give away a bunch of people's names especially that are prospects. But it's not a whole lot more difficult. There's CRMs out there that can do that, but honestly, it's almost all the same categories. And the reason why I have those memorized is because I've been working my pipeline for years now. So, get yourself a pipeline. And by the way, if you're like, man, there's so much more stuff about sales that I wanted to know, like, hey, Local SEO Academy. Okay, we're going to have a full-fledged course on this over time. We're building this up because I'm trying to figure out exactly where people are at. I'm learning a lot of people are in the beginning, and that's okay. And so, we need to talk about stuff like lead magnets. We need to talk about, not only do we need to talk about stuff like lead magnets, but we need to get all the way to the point where we're talking about sales calls, right? How do we get better and more tactical at sales calls while still being the genuine people that we are? All right, so we spent a ton of time on sales. I think it's time to move on. All right, are you ready to move on? Let's move on to number 5, which is ops. Now, ops has to do with your operations, and really that has to do with the delivery of the services to the client. You got to get this dialed in. Now, if you're like me and like most people, you will be the technician from day one, which is actually not a good thing, because what that's going to do is it's going to make it so you just do stuff in your head. You can't do that, okay? The second you start getting some kind of a flow, you need to create SOPs. These are standard operating procedures. These are bite-sized chunks that say, this is how you do this task. And slowly you're going to start to create these flows like, oh, this is how we do this. For instance, in Local SEO Academy, I also talk about this on the YouTube channel a lot because this is the flow that we do actually in our agency. The first step is the SEO strategy sprint. After that, it's the SEO build phase. Then it's the SEO care phase, okay? The reason why it's set up like that is very intentional, okay? We got to build the strategy first, and we have subtasks under that built up, SOPs for all those things. Then we have the build phase. That's a little squishier, but generally speaking, we have certain tasks that we can do. We're actually revamping those right now. And then the last thing is the care phase, which again that's more recurring tasks versus reoccurring tasks, but that's still really important. So having, SOPs with your workflows is massively important, because this is where you can get to the point where you can start to utilize stuff like automations and things like that. But you have to like get your SOPs out of your head as soon as possible. Now, if you're anything like me, when I decided that I wanted to offer local SEO to help my clients, like that was really the main reason why I wanted to do it. Well, I wanted some monthly recurring revenue, let's be real. I wanted stability for my business. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to do local SEO. But as I went forth and I tried to learn, from YouTube University, and I paid money, like good money, for some of those SEO courses, hundreds of dollars. And I was just like, why wouldn't anybody just tell me how to do local SEO? And so I wanted to make sure I had that course. So not only in Local SEO Academy to get the GBP Expert course and the Local SEO Masterclass. So I feel like that gets everybody on the same plane where they're like, oh, okay, we know how to do local SEO as of right now. There's also a delivery course. How do you deliver it? The flow. That's what we're talking about. And then the community tier, which is what our special little 1-year discount is for. In the community tier, you have my exact SOP. So it's like you could figure all this out. You can piecemeal a bunch of crap from all over YouTube and be like, I think this is how you do local SEO. Or you can literally copy and paste my business into your business and then start doing it better than I did from day one instead of day like 250 like me. Like it was literally just me doing it out of my head. And then my first team member said, we should probably write this stuff down, don't you think? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And now here we are, we're working on the next version of our SOPs, which I will also share with Local SEO Academy. I just want to get all that stuff dialed in first before we start to share it. Now, I digress. When it comes to the SOPs and the workflows and all that stuff, like it's just going to be easier to copy somebody. If you can find somebody else online that's offering local SEO, SOPs, workflows, all that stuff for cheaper than what I'm offering, then go do it. But if you can't, and it's a pretty good price, then you should come to Local SEO Academy. Again, I got a little discount for you. If you missed it, I've already given away 2 pieces of the code. Okay. So you got to go back and find those pieces. It's like a scavenger hunt. I'm having fun with it because it's Local SEO Academy's 1-year anniversary, birthday, whatever you want to call it. And so the third piece of the code is just 2 letters, YR. Maybe you can guess what the thing was before that. But anyway, you have 3 pieces now. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And so the next one, I'm going to give you the last piece of the code. I'm going to tell you what the discount is. So you're going to have to stick around for that. Okay. So we've talked about a lot of stuff at this point. We have all the backgrounds. We talked about sales, how to get clients. Now we've talked about how to deliver to clients. But remember, not that long ago, I told you about the big lie that you're going to need help to do this. And so that's what brings us to the 6th system you're going to need to really grow your business. And that's a team, baby. I wanted to call this one Scale, but I think that's a little too cute. Like it's really just a team. That's what it is. Call it what it is, right? You're going to need help. Okay. In the early days, it might just be a VA to handle your emails because you're getting so much spam email and client email and prospect email, right? It could be that you need an SEO technician to help you just do the technical work. Now, you might also be offering websites and you might say, okay, I'm starting to get busy with this SEO stuff. I still want to handle this to make sure I'm building my systems right. I need help just building the websites. Okay. That's actually where I started. The first person I hired was a designer. Okay. And we still work together today. She's now the web project manager. She's really my fractional CMO. I'm hoping to see some like cool changes with the marketing. This video is kind of rogue. She has no idea I'm doing this, so don't tell her about this. But, like that's the evolution you can have with a team member over a year and a half. Then I needed a developer. Right. And I found this person. She is amazing. I refer her to so many people and hopefully I've made her a ton of money off of that, but she's loyal to me still to this day. Thank you. She's also the video editor who I'm not giving enough time to edit this video. And so I just want to say thank you for, just being such an amazing worker. And then my SEO project manager, who's amazing at the client relation piece of it. And I'm excited to really dig into that moving forward because I think retention is massively helpful. I thought about including that as a system, but that just kind of comes into ops, is, following up and all that good stuff, keeping a good relationship with your clients, because it's way easier to just keep selling to the same people or keep those people on than to continue to sell. And so anyway, he's been phenomenal. He was the one that brought up like, hey, maybe we should write this stuff down. It's like, oh, that's a good idea. And then eventually we needed help with SEO because we're getting so many clients. We needed a tech, and he's been amazing. And I feel like he's about to level up, just phenomenal work again. And, recently we needed to work on our ops. We moved from Notion to ClickUp, and I just needed some help there. I just needed somebody to help the operations because eventually I would like there to be almost a layer of insulation, not because I don't care, but because I would like to be able to go on a vacation someday. Like I have a vacation planned in a couple of days, and I feel like I have anxiety. Okay. And I've been doing this for a year and a half. So like I've been working hard, got a team and all this stuff. And like, I'm still worried about that. That's just me being honest and vulnerable right now in the middle of this video. And so it's like, if you want to grow, like if in your why you were thinking like, okay, I want to, be able to take a 2-week vacation and my business is going to be fine. It's going to take a lot of work. Okay. Trust me, I'm in the middle of that journey, but you know what? You can do it. If you made it this far in this video, that means you're one of those people out there that is freaking dedicated to this. By the way, those are the kind of people who want Local SEO Academy. But like, seriously, like regardless of what you do, like please just stay connected. Cause like those are the people I want to know out there. Okay. Reach out, send me an email, whatever, just say hi. Even if you're like, I'm not gonna give you any money, dude, but I like what you're doing. It's cool. Like reach out, let me know where you're at, because like, seriously, like we can do this. We can do this. I really believe in you. I believe in me. And I believe in my team, right? We also just got a new VA. She's amazing. She's been doing work, just for a couple of weeks. I'm like, I'm blown away. I'm like, that was fast. That was cool. And it's like opening these like potential doors for other things that we can do. And we're probably not done. We're probably going to get more team members. Okay. So what do I want to share about team? I don't really know. Like the point is you're going to need help. Okay. You're going to need help. And the second you add another mouth to feed, it means you're going to need more clients. Okay. So the number you think you need in your head is probably higher than you think, but that's not bad. Like if I tell somebody you're probably going to need 24 clients to get what you think you want to get, that would probably give most people anxiety, maybe even a panic attack. But here's the thing, like if you have a team and you have systems in place, that's actually not that bad. Like everybody can handle that load. It's doable. Okay. It's when we start to get to bigger numbers, that's when it starts to get stressful for me. But I also know that I can do it because you're not going to do it overnight. You're going to do it one day at a time. Okay. That's the magic of this. Okay. So you want a team. Some team members that you might want to look into is obviously anybody to help with websites. I like to call them technicians in the early days. Check out LinkedIn. Also, you could get an intern from your local college. That's always a great option. And then, eventually you're going to start looking at managers. And also, VAs are good options. And as you're, working on your sales stuff, you could hire salespeople, but, maybe like people to help manage your socials and things like that. Like I don't write the descriptions anymore. Sorry to break it to you. I don't schedule the videos anymore. So, that's the stuff I've offloaded, right? And thank God, because I'm bad at picking the times for that. But anyway, that's like the pinnacle, right? Is having a team. Okay. And so you might be thinking like, okay, we've made it to the end of the video, right? Are you going to give me the rest of that coupon code? Cause I want to check out Local SEO Academy. Well, hold on. I got one more thing to share with you. Okay. This is like a bonus tip. Okay. I wouldn't say this is necessarily a system because this is something that's entirely different. And this is having a personal growth mindset. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you to have a growth mindset when it comes to your business. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think you should keep trying to grow until it starts to feel uncomfortable. Then you should tighten up until you feel comfortable again, then grow some more. That's just what I've heard from people that have been doing business by longer than me. I like that advice. I'm sharing it with you. Again, regurgitated information, take it for what you want. But right now, I'm talking about a personal growth mindset. I'm not talking about hitting the gym, getting swole. I'm talking about like just continuing to grow every single day, trying to be a little bit better of a human than you were the day before. Okay. If you go into business with that lifelong learner mindset that you're just going to keep trying to incrementally get a little bit better, you're probably going to incrementally get a little bit better. Like at the end of the day, all of this is temporary, right? Not to get too woo-woo or too dark, but like, life is finite. Every relationship we have is finite. Everybody that will work for you will eventually not work for you, either because the company doesn't exist or, it ends up lasting 1,000 years, but those people don't exist forever, right? And so it's like everything we do is finite. And really at the end of the day, when we, call it call it a day. The thing we're worrying about right now, this week, doesn't really matter that much. And so here's the thing. You might set out to do this local SEO business and it might be a great success. 5 years from now, you might be crushing it. You might have this awesome business. You figured out how to incorporate AI search into it and you're doing great. And the reason why you probably did that is because you kept a growth mindset. You kept growing as a leader and you were able to lead a team and you were able to take a step back and you got that time freedom and you were able to get past that salary ceiling that you were stuck at the last place, and you're really enjoying what you do. That's pretty cool to think about. But there's another scenario too, where you do this for 2 years and it was really hard, and yeah, you made some money, but it just didn't really hit the numbers you want. And so you decide you want to go back and get a job. But when you go back to get a job, you realize that the time wasn't wasted. You actually learned a lot. You learned a lot about marketing. You learned a lot about business. You learned a lot about leadership. You learned a lot about yourself. You had to set boundaries. You had to be strict. You had to stick to regimens and schedules and all that good stuff that comes with being an entrepreneur. It's not wasted time. This is actually the potential to be a really fun journey for you. And I think this is a pretty exciting time to get into this industry. And I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. And if I did, I'd probably use it for better things than career advice. But if you're thinking about this right now, you're thinking about adding this service on, or you're thinking about doubling down on this service, you've been kind of loosely offering it, maybe by doing things like blog posts because somebody else told you to do that. And you're like, I want to do this better. How do I do this better? Well, this could be the time to do it. And really, I want to help you. Okay. Again, go back to my why. It goes back to service. Local SEO Academy is my side hustle. I give myself 5 to maybe 10 hours per week to work on it. And all the rest of my time is devoted to my agency, my team, and helping my clients' businesses grow. But I have this little side passion because I really like teaching and I love helping people. And I know it's just a way that I can help people more directly. So we'd love to have you in Local SEO Academy. I'm offering a massive, massive discount off your first month. So that way you can try it out and see if you want to stick around. Okay. The last part of the code is DISC, D-I-S-C. Okay. Now, in case you skipped to the end of the video, there's 3 other parts in the video where I give you the other pieces of this code. Without this code, it's just a 10% off or something like that discount when you click on that link that's in the description. But if you have all the pieces of the code, you're going to get a really, really, really big discount to celebrate Local SEO Academy's 1-year anniversary. You can be our 41st or maybe our 50th member by that point, because a bunch of people are going to sign up. I know they are. They're probably not. But no matter what, just know, if you get in there, you will be getting support. It's going to be great and you're going to have a good time. So anyway, got a little mushy there at the end, but those are the 6 systems you need to worry about for your business. Get a well-defined why and stick to it in the hard times. Okay. You're going to be working too much at some point. You're going to look back, you're going to be like, why am I working 80 hours this week? Oh yeah, my why. Let me stick to that. After that, you want to figure out your who. Who are you selling to? I already told you, contractors, holistic medicine. Those are great buckets to point to. Maybe one of those buckets more, you're willing to lean into that in the early days. Maybe you niche down a little bit more over time, but just make sure it's somebody that has a high ticket sales. It's a lot easier to get 1 extra roof per month than it is to get 100 coffees. After that, the next thing down is your what? Your package. Again, if you go to Local SEO Academy, I'll tell you exactly what my package is. But here's the thing, no matter what, if you're going to try to figure it out on your own, just make sure it includes Google business profile, website, and authority building. And you're already halfway there and you're doing better than a lot of the agencies that are out there right now. And then when it actually comes to running your business, first you're going to have sales. All right. You're going to figure out how you're going to do your lead generation, which I highly encourage you to do in person, and then have channels as a backup to that. And then you're going to need a pipeline. All right. Just get a Google sheet like we just did right there. Okay. That was super easy, right? You can copy that. I promise you. I did it in a couple minutes. Then you need to have your ops. All right. Those are your SOPs, your workflows. How are you going to actually deliver this stuff to your clients? That's the more you have that dialed in, the more likely you will actually get good results for your clients. And then the last piece is a team. You're going to need help at some point, even if it's just a VA to help you out. You don't have to figure this out right away, but you want to have that, have that be one of your goals, that you're going to get help. You're not going to do this by yourself. If you're going to do this by yourself, you're going to be doing absolutely everything. And trust me, that is not easy. You might as well just stick with your job, because this is too much work to do by yourself. Okay. So just tell yourself, I'm going to have a team, and you will be okay with that. You will come to terms with that eventually. Trust me. And then, like I said, that little bonus tip is stay in a personal growth mindset. Just know that like no matter what happens, you're going to learn a ton of stuff and you're going to be okay on the other side of this. You'll go through ups, you'll go through downs, and whether you make hundreds of thousands of dollars that you can put away for a house and reach those financial goals you're hoping for, or you fall flat on your face, you're going to learn a ton of stuff along the way. And so again, if you want to be supported, Local SEO Academy can definitely help you out, and I'll see you on the other side in there. And if you're not quite ready yet, then go ahead and click that link below to sign up for Local SEO Lowdown. So that way every week you can get some local SEO information sent right to you, including the Provider's Corner, which is written for you so you can keep providing better local SEO services to your clients. I appreciate you sticking around and watching this very long video. If it was helpful, hit that like button so that way more people like you can find this video. Don't worry, they're not in your town. They're not going to compete with you. And be sure to subscribe to the channel and then check out this video right here because I think it's going to help you on your local SEO journey as a provider. I'll catch you in the next one.